me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. Let's go.
Hello, folks. Richard Moore, USAGSA. I'm bringing a fresh, hot off the press story for you, and it's USAGSA press only, apparently. And this is the alarming amount of deaths at Mississippi State Penitentiary, namely Parchman Prison in Parchman, Mississippi. I'm going to tell you about the deaths that's been happening that the mainstream media and the fake news have absolutely refused to talk about. But we're going to talk about it today. At least briefly, we're going to talk about it. Before I jump into it, I remind you that we're 100% supported by our listeners, viewers, and followers. So in the description of this video is our link tree, and that link tree is the various ways that you can support USAGSA and take a stand with us as we continue to expose and report on corruption from coast to coast. Also within that link tree is my Substack and WordPress, where I've written extensively about these individuals, their programs, their tactics, and also have given many stories to those that have been rendered voiceless in their campaign to maintain their constitutional freedoms that have been meticulously stripped from them in broad daylight. Millions of Americans are targeted by these corrupt individuals and corrupt government programs. And in order for us to continue our viability, your support is paramount. If you like our content, and you're getting anything from what we're giving you, I encourage you to become a patron on Patreon. That's where you get everything firsthand there. It gives you an open communication with myself and other people involved in this quest of exposing corruption in America. So we're going to talk about Parchman Prison. There's been a lot publicized in the past with the gang killings and the violence, and even the prison system coming under federal conservatorship, which is no longer under federal conservatorship. It is under the conservatorship of the state of Mississippi, the Department of Corrections, which is ran by, or the commissioner of the Department of Corrections is none other than Burl Cain, or as many refer to as Boss Hogg. We've done stories on this, and Boss Hogg comes from Angola prison in the state of Louisiana. And Tater Reeves decided that's who we needed to run our corrupt prison system in Mississippi. If there weren't enough corruption in Louisiana, Mississippi is just has a gravitational pull for corruption, whether it be the state or in our local sheriff's departments. We've talked about these deaths. I've talked about these deaths in Lowndes County, Mississippi, and I've been very vocal about how in the world are these inmates dying of overdoses in the county jail, not just in Lowndes County, but across the state. I mean, are they tunneling out? Are they turning the key and letting them out? They scaling the fence and are going to the local dope house and getting the dope. Is that how it's happening? I mean, these are people that, for anybody that's been subjected to this, when they take you in after you're violated on the side of the road somewhere, or in your house or your front yard or somewhere in public, and you're groped and violated publicly, and then they get you in. They can't wait to get you in these county jails, get you naked, and it's fixing to happen again. You're going to get groped and violated and everything under the sun. So we know they're not somehow bringing this dope in. So how are they getting the dope? Y'all help me make this make sense. Okay. How are they getting the dope in the jails? How are they getting the dope in the prisons? Are these inmates mainly down there at Parchman in Unit 29? That's where, to my understanding, where the closed custody, which is where the maximum security is in 29, or some of those units in 29 and 30. These two different camps down there, it's a big plantation, got prisons scattered out all over it, where people are dropping like flies. Still. And what are they dying from? Fentanyl overdoses, bath salt, and spice. Now, there was a recent reporting that down in Rankin County that they was investigating a mysterious death of somebody that overdosed, Juan Gonzalez, I believe it was, and we hadn't heard any more out of that. That's just one, folks. We're talking Rankin County. I'm talking about Parchman. Now, the best unofficial count that I get is 12. I believe it's higher than that. This is in the last 90 days, ladies and gentlemen. This is February 2025. Now, where is the Clarion Ledger or any of these other birdcage liners on the deal? They're silent. That's where they are. Understand, they all report based on what is given them by law enforcement or people in positions of trust and officials from these agencies. Burl Cain didn't want you knowing the facts. Folks, there are people that are, the vicious cycle of recidivism is this. You take an individual that is hemmed up, and in a lot of cases, in most cases, on a sham, especially as it involves anything drug related. It's a deal where it was propped up. Somebody interjected the dope in this pop-up roadblock, and so goes the rest of the deal, and deal to squill. And we got armies of snitches and rats out there working in order to be able to maintain their high. So we got to have dope for them to stay high on, right? And they get plenty of it, and I've been talking about it, and they're going to continue to get it. And it's destroying families. It's destroying lives. It's destroying this state, not just the state of Mississippi, but across the union. We can't blame the cartels or the dope pushers on this problem. Because if we don't have the dope trade and the people getting arrested and locked up and pumped through this so-called judicial system, then what are these people going to do for a living? What are we going to do with these judges and lawyers and the bail bondsmen and all the cops and the bells and the whistles and all this process in the county jails, prisons, build more, pump more money in? You got to feed the machine, folks. And they're going to make sure the machine gets fed. So they get abused through this system, and they get railroaded and sent down the river. They said, good, lock them up and throw away the key. Now, what do they learn in there? If they ever respected authority, you can believe one thing. By the time Mississippi Department of Corrections gets through with them, they'll have zero respect for authority. They realize then that these members, these correctional officers, are gang members. That's right. And they are doing the bidding of the criminal gangs on the outside and on the inside. And they're bringing in all the dope you could want, all the drugs, phones, weapons, whatever your heart desires is relatively available in the Mississippi State Prison today. It's not when Christopher Epps was in there. It just as corrupt then, just as corrupt now as it was then. Because we're hiring these 19-year-old correctional officers with zero experience, and they're paying them, probably not paying them hardly anything. What do you expect is going to happen? And then nobody is doing anything because we've got this blue line and blue wall of silence. It doesn't just run through law enforcement, it runs through the correctional operations as well. And they're all going to stay on the same side. They're not going to cross that line. They don't cross that line. So they let the corrupt keep being corrupt, and the ones that are not corrupt, well, they just turn a blind eye. Well, you're just as corrupt when you're turning a blind eye and a deaf ear to what's really going on. Who are the victims here? The people of the state of Mississippi are the victims. And all of that, the families of these inmates that are dying are victims. They have to endure. They're living from, and most of them are living from can to can, paycheck to paycheck, because they've got their loved one in there that is constantly on them about sending them money and keeping them money. If not, their life could be in danger. I don't know how many times, how many people that I've spoke with that they're worried about their loved one that's incarcerated because their life is in danger if they don't keep a steady flow of money in there. So they're extorting them and they're keeping the drugs. So these people get through with this system. They don't have any more respect for law enforcement. They have zero respect for authority. They see what the game is. They see that how corrupt they are and how they take up for each other and how with a little bit of money, you can make a lot of things happen. And that's exactly what's going on today, right now in the state of Mississippi. So when they get out, that's a good thing for the greasing the system, isn't it? Feeding the system, it's a wonderful thing. It make it impossible for them to get employment. There's very few places going to employ a convicted felon, and they're far and few between. I mean, even your local Dollar General will not hire someone with a felony. Imagine that. Walmart's same way. So all these so-called members of the community that want things to, they want our money and all that, but they absolutely are closing the door for those that have paid their debt to society, supposedly. So they see that it's impossible to maintain employment. So what does that do? That forces them right back in to old habits. And old habits on steroids. If they had any respect before, they have zero now. Now they know what the deal is, and they go harder, longer, and they stay longer, and they do more than you ever thought they'd do. And they're back in the system. The system wants them. It's a revolving door, and it's a vicious cycle. And how we're going to break it? I'll tell you how we're going to break it. When we start holding these corrupt officials accountable, we start holding the Eddie Hawkins of this state accountable, and some of these other, and I don't want to get off on some of these other sheriffs. We talk about them, and I'm telling you, it is. Eddie Scott over in Clay County just as bad, raping women inmates, and running illegal casinos and a drug trade there in Clay County like it's okay. And then when I report on it, a month later, they act like off of a tip, they busted a casino, but they did manage to bust the people that was running it, which was the sheriff and the ex-cop. We've talked about all that. None of the other agencies, none of the other news people are reporting on this. I'm going to keep reporting on it. I'm going to keep letting you know what's really going on. So this is the facts, ladies and gentlemen. In the last 90 days, in excess of 12 inmates have dropped dead in Unit 30 and 29 in Parchman, okay? Now, you might wonder, why haven't we heard about it? Well, you're hearing about it now. That's what's going on. You think things have changed? They got air conditioners down there, and they're having Bible studies. But, honey, the dope is still running like free water down there. Not only that, we take Delta State Correctional Facility for women. There's a cell phone for every 2 inmates in that prison. We've talked about that warden down there, transplant from one of these contractor prisons, and that's somebody that Burl Cain brought in here. And folks, let me tell you, it rolls downhill, not uphill. I know in Mississippi that these corrupt officials like to believe, they like for you to believe that shit rolls uphill, and they can't help it. That's HEPIT, can't help it. I promise you they can help it, because where I come from, and just right across the state line here, we're in Alabama, folks, and this is what we learned from an early age. Shit rolls downhill. But some way, somehow, there's a different gravitational pull in Mississippi, and shit somehow rolls uphill, and the ones in charge have nothing to do with it. They just got a few bad apples in there. Well, folks, let me tell you what. You keep buying that bullshit, people are going to keep dying. And you think, well, it is a problem, because they're releasing these people back on the streets. And what are they going to do? They're going to keep doing what they was doing, but they're going to go harder. And they're going to go further. They're going to stay longer, and it's going to hurt more to the public. We all suffer. Everybody suffers. The families of the inmates, this is inhumane. The United States of America has the most draconian incarcerated population in the world. There's more people in the United States of America per capita is incarcerated than any other country in the world. It's lock them up, throw away the key, build more prisons, hire more officers, do more. But we overlook the big problem, and the big problem is corruption, and that's what we're exposing here. Folks, it's a sad day in Mississippi. It's a sad day in America when we keep overlooking these very important and these dire circumstances that have befallen these people, these families, these inmates, and the officers and the correctional officers. They're trying to do their job, but can't do their job because corruption is too high and too deep. But I suggest, Tater Reeves, that you get somebody in there that will kick ass and take names and start locking these people, start locking their asses up that are bringing this shit in here, that are killing people. They're breaking the law. They're accessories to murder. That's exactly what it is. It's serious. It's not just a minor contraband deal. Eddie Hawkins, when you get a black officer that brings contraband, you prosecute. If it's a white officer bringing contraband, you slide him out the door. It may be the district attorney will hire him as an investigator or something like that. We got a two-tiered system, folks, in Mississippi, and I'm telling you, it's alive and well. Coming soon, we're going to talk to you about Greene County, Mississippi. And boys, I'm telling you what, you think I'm not going, spoiler alert there. We'll talk about that later, but it's a lot more to it than what I'm bringing you today. Folks, I appreciate you. Let me hear from you. Your comments are welcome down there. Subscribe, share, like. Until next time, God bless you.
They call me a